My husband didn't come home the night our daughter learned how to laugh. That felt rude, not the laugh. Mia's laugh was perfect. Tiny, breathy, surprised at itself. Like even she couldn't believe joy had found our living room at 11:38 p.m., between a basket of unfolded laundry and me wearing one nursing pad correctly and the other one somehow stuck to my hip. Daniel missing it was rude. Daniel missing it, because he was in another woman's bed, was less rude and more of a full felony against common decency. At 1:13 a.m., he texted me. Don't wait up. Work got insane. Work? Sure. Apparently work had long blonde hair, a rental cabin near Percy Priest Lake, and knew how to make my husband forget he had a 4-month-old baby at home. I did not know that yet. At 5:47 in the morning, I was sitting on the nursery floor with Mia against my chest, her warm cheek pressed into the damp spot on my shirt. The baby monitor glowed on the dresser. The house was dark, except for the moonlight cutting across the rug shaped like a sleepy cloud. A very optimistic rug. Clearly new here. My phone buzzed. Lauren? My sister never called before 6, unless someone was bleeding, arrested, or our mother had discovered a new medical symptom on the internet. I answered on video. Her face filled the screen, pale and tight, with the gray light of early morning behind her. She said, don't scream. That is a terrible way to begin a sentence. Nobody says don't scream before handing you a cupcake. I shifted Mia higher on my shoulder. Lauren, what happened? My voice came out flat. Too flat. The kind of flat that happens when your body already knows, but your brain is still politely waiting for paperwork. Lauren was in a parking lot. I saw pine trees behind her, a row of cabins, mist sitting low over the road, like the whole place had been caught doing something shady. I found Daniel, she said. For 1 second, I felt relief. Stupid, embarrassing relief. Then her eyes flicked away from the screen. He's not at work. The baby made a small sound against me. A hiccup, maybe, or commentary. Lauren turned the camera. There was Daniel's black SUV, same license plate. Same tiny scratch near the rear bumper from when I hit a grocery cart while 8 months pregnant and blamed parking lot wind, because marriage is built on love, taxes, and small lies that don't rent cabins. The SUV was parked outside a cedar cabin with a green door. A woman's hand appeared first, then Sabrina Cole stepped onto the porch. Bare legs, oversized sweater, hair messy in the exact way women pretend is accidental. Then Daniel came out behind her. My husband, wearing the gray Vanderbilt hoodie I had bought him 2 Christmases ago. The one I had slept in during labor because the hospital gown opened in the back and I was already sharing enough with strangers. He leaned down and said something near Sabrina's ear. She laughed, not a big laugh. A private one. I looked at Mia's face. Her mouth was open, milk-drunk and peaceful. 4 months old. No idea her father had just become a stranger before breakfast. Lauren whispered, I'm sorry. I stared at the screen. My first thought was, not divorce. It was, I need to change Mia's diaper. That is motherhood. Your life can crack open and the baby will still be sitting in something warm and urgent. Daniel looked toward the parking lot. He saw Lauren. His face changed so fast I almost admired the efficiency. Sabrina turned too. Lauren's hand shook, and for a second the camera showed her sneakers, cracked asphalt, a paper coffee cup near a tire. Very cinematic. Very unstable. 5 stars for realism. Then the camera came back up. Daniel started walking toward her. Lauren, he called. What are you doing here? The audacity. I almost said it out loud. Instead, I stood slowly, Mia against my chest, phone in one hand. My legs felt weak. My mouth tasted like metal and old coffee. Lauren backed away. Emily, what do you want me to do? Daniel was closer now. His hair was wet. Why was his hair wet? No, I knew why. My brain tried to protect me for about half a second, then apparently clocked out. I looked at my daughter, then at my husband on the screen, and somehow my voice came out colder than the bottle I had forgotten on the nightstand. Tell him to wave, I said. Lauren blinked. What? Tell him to wave, I repeated. His daughter just woke up. Daniel stopped walking. He heard me. Good. For the first time all night, he looked like a man who understood there was a home waiting for him. Not warmly, not gently, like a door had locked from the inside. 4 months earlier, Daniel cried when Maya was born. Real tears. I hate that part. It would be easier if he had looked bored or checked a text from Sabrina while I was pushing out his child. But no. He cried. He cut the cord with shaking hands. He whispered, "She's perfect," like the word had broken something open in him. I believed him. I was exhausted enough to believe in almost anything. At that point, I would have believed the nurse if she told me the hospital ice chips contained vitamins and emotional stability. Mia came into the world at 3:22 a.m. in a Nashville hospital room with fluorescent lights, one heroic nurse named Amber, and Daniel holding my left leg like he had suddenly been promoted to furniture. When they placed Mia on my chest, she was warm and furious and slippery, and I remember thinking, oh, there you are, not poetic, just true. Daniel kissed my forehead. "You did it," he said. I wanted to say, yes, and he looked deeply startled by basic biology, but I was too tired. Also, my body had just performed a magic trick and was demanding silence. The first 2 weeks, he was good. He brought me water. He learned how to swaddle, badly, but with hope. He took pictures of Mia's feet. He told everyone I was amazing. I did not feel amazing. I felt like a leaking bag of organs with a baby attached. There is no glow after birth. There is sweat, mesh underwear, fear, and at least one moment where you cried because your toast got cold. My hair started falling out around week 7. My stomach still looked confused. My breasts had become community property. I once answered the door with a burp cloth on my shoulder and oatmeal in my bra. The delivery guy looked afraid. Honestly, he should have. Daniel returned to work after 3 weeks. That was when the house changed shape. During the day, it was me and Mia and the sound machine playing fake rain. At night, it was Daniel coming home late now, kissing the top of Mia's head and falling onto the couch like fatherhood had personally injured him. "I'm wiped," he would say. I would be standing there holding a baby who had used my nipple as both food source and emotional support for 6 straight hours. "Same," I'd say. But my same apparently came without a couch. At first, I defended him to myself. He was stressed. He had pressure at work. He was adjusting. Men adjust loudly. Women adjust while bleeding and writing down feeding times on napkins. Sometimes he helped. Sometimes he warmed bottles. Sometimes he changed diapers with the dramatic face of a man defusing a bomb. But something in him had stepped back. Not all at once. Small retreats. He stopped asking how I was. He started asking whether Mia had slept. He stopped touching me, unless it was convenient, like passing me in the kitchen and squeezing my shoulder the way people touch a mailbox. He started sleeping in the guest room just for a couple nights, because he had early calls. The guest room became his embassy. I stayed in the nursery. Mia slept in 2-hour stretches, and I became fluent in shadows. I knew which floorboard creaked, which bottle leaked, which cry meant gas, and which cry meant the world had ended because her pacifier was half an inch away. One night, around 2 a.m., I carried Mia past the guest room and heard Daniel laughing softly. Not work laughing. Not tired laughing. That low, careful laugh people use when they are trying not to be overheard and absolutely deserve to be. I froze in the hallway. Mia's tiny fist was tangled in my hair. She had a talent for pain. Very advanced baby. Daniel said, "No, she's asleep." She. I told myself he meant me. I told myself that was normal. Then he said, "I miss talking to you like this." The hallway went very quiet. Even Mia stopped wiggling like my 4-month-old was thinking. Dad read the room. The next morning, I asked him who he was talking to. He poured coffee, didn't look at me. Client issue? At 2 in the morning? Different time zone? What time zone specializes in whispering? He sighed. That sigh. The married man sigh. The one that says, "I would explain, but you're hormonal and also holding a baby, so I already won." He said, "Please don't make everything a fight." I looked down at Mia, asleep against me, milk dribbling from the corner of her mouth. I wanted to fight. Instead, I said, "Okay." I hated myself a little for that. Not because I was weak, because I was tired. And tired women sign emotional receipts without reading them. That night, Daniel came home smelling like cedar smoke and a perfume I did not own. Something sweet. Expensive. Not mine. I pressed my face into Mia's blanket and told myself I was imagining things. Then my daughter laughed for the first time weeks later, and Daniel was somewhere near a lake helping another woman laugh too. Daniel became very busy after Mia was born. Not regular busy. Not "I have meetings and emails" busy. He became the kind of busy that requires fresh shirts, private phone calls, and suddenly caring about his hairline from the back. A man does not discover styling cream at 35 because of logistics reports. He worked for a shipping company outside Nashville, managing accounts and pretending spreadsheets were a personality. Before Mia, his job had been predictable. He came home around 6:30. He complained about Todd from procurement. He ate dinner standing at the counter because he said sitting down made him lose momentum, which is a phrase only men use when avoiding dishes. After Mia, work became a haunted forest. Late calls, emergency client dinners, team strategy nights. One Friday, he told me he might sleep at the office. I was sitting on the nursery floor matching baby socks. Baby socks are a scam. They are smaller than regrets and disappear faster. You have a couch at the office? I asked. There's a lounge. A lounge. How very billionaire of your mid-sized logistics company. He smiled like I was being cute. I was not being cute. I was leaking milk through a gray t-shirt and holding one tiny sock with ducks on it. Nobody looks cute while smelling faintly like formula and Betrayal's opening act. It's just one night, he said. One night away from your 4-month-old? He looked tired. He always looked tired when I asked for basic respect. Very convenient condition. Emily, I need you to understand. I'm under a lot of pressure. I almost laughed. I almost said, Daniel, yesterday I sneezed and had to assess whether my body had betrayed me in 3 separate ways. Tell me about pressure. Instead, I said, okay. Again, that word was becoming my emotional coupon. I kept handing it out and getting nothing back. Lauren noticed before I admitted anything. She came over every Wednesday after her shift at the pediatric clinic, bringing iced coffee, diapers, and commentary nobody requested but everyone needed. She took one look at Daniel's phone face down on the counter and said, oh, absolutely not. I was bouncing Mia near the sink. What? Face down phone. Married men don't do that unless ESPN is losing or someone named Sabrina has notifications. My stomach dropped. Sabrina? I made up a name. I did not answer. Lauren stared at me. Oh my God, there is a Sabrina. She works with him, kind of. Freelance marketing for one of his projects. Lauren put down the diaper pack slowly. I hate when I'm psychic. It's exhausting and unpaid. I tried to laugh. It came out wrong. Lauren softened. No. You don't know what I'm going to say. You're going to say check his phone. I was going to say throw the whole man into Cumberland River, but yes, phone first. I'm not doing that. Why? Because I don't want to be that wife. Lauren looked around the room at the bottles in the drying rack, at the punk parts soaking in a bowl, at Mia's blanket on the chair. At this point, she said, that wife sounds well-rested and informed. I hated how much I wanted to listen. But the thing about betrayal is that before you find proof, you feel guilty for suspecting it. Like your intuition is some rude guest making a mess in the living room. So I defended him. He's just stressed. Lauren blinked. If one more woman says he's stressed while a man builds a secret life with Wi-Fi, I'm joining a monastery. You don't believe in monks. I believe in quiet and carbs. That evening, Daniel came home with flowers. Gas station flowers. The kind wrapped in crinkly plastic and smelling faintly of refrigerator. For you, he said. I held them while Mia screamed in her swing because the universe has a sense of timing and no mercy. Thank you, I said. Daniel kissed my cheek. His phone buzzed. He looked at it and smiled before remembering not to. Tiny. Quick. Fatal. I watched him tuck the phone into his pocket. Work? I asked. Yeah. Tell work, the flowers are lovely. He paused. There it was, that little blink, not enough to convict him, enough to make my stomach begin keeping notes. 2 days later, I found the cabin receipt. It was in the pocket of his navy jacket, the one he had tossed over the dining chair. I was checking pockets before laundry because I had learned after washing one of Mia's diapers by mistake and creating what can only be described as snow inside the machine. The receipt was folded twice. Cedar Ridge Cabins, 1-night rental, Percy Priest Lake. I stood there holding it while the washer filled. Daniel walked in. What's that? He asked. His voice was too casual. I lifted the paper. He looked at it, then smiled. That's for the team retreat. A cabin? Yeah. One cabin? Small team. I stared at him. Daniel. What? Your team is Todd from procurement and 2 men named Chris who hate each other. He rubbed his jaw. It was just easier. What was? Planning it this way. Another sentence with a broken ankle. I folded the receipt and handed it back. He took it. My mistake, I should have kept it. but I was still trying to be fair to a man who had already stopped being honest. That night, after Daniel went to the guest room, I sat beside Mia's crib and whispered, "Your dad is acting weird." Mia sneezed, then smiled in her sleep. That was her legal opinion. Lauren did not set out to catch my husband. That would have been too clean. Too scripted. Real life prefers stupidity, weather, and inconvenient errands. She had worked a 12-hour night shift at the pediatric clinic, which meant she was running on coffee, rage, and one granola bar she found in her purse that may or may not have expired during the Obama administration. Her friend Kayla had rented a cabin near Percy Priest Lake for a small birthday weekend, then left behind a tote bag with scrubs, car keys, and an alarming amount of lip gloss. Lauren, being the responsible one in every friendship and the nosiest one in our family, offered to pick it up before heading home. It was 5:32 a.m. when she pulled into Cedar Ridge Cabins. Still dark, mist over the gravel, pine trees dripping from overnight rain. She later told me she was mostly thinking about whether McDonald's breakfast had started yet. A noble concern. Betrayal is awful, but hash browns remain important. Then she saw Daniel's SUV. At first she thought she was hallucinating. Night nurses live one blink away from seeing shapes. She parked 2 spaces down and stared at the license plate. Same numbers, same little dent on the bumper. Same Vanderbilt sticker curling at the corner because Daniel kept saying he would fix it, and then continued being Daniel. Lauren took a photo. Not because she knew. Because she is my sister. And our family documents chaos the way museums document artifacts. She got out of the car slowly. Her sneakers crunched on the gravel. Cabin 6 had a porch light on. The curtains were half closed. There were 2 coffee cups on the small outdoor table. 2. One had lipstick on the rim. Lauren said that was when her stomach fell directly into her scrub pants, which is medically imprecise but emotionally accurate. She stood behind a pickup truck and waited. She didn't know why. Maybe she hoped Daniel would walk out with Todd from procurement and a PowerPoint. Maybe she hoped the SUV was stolen by someone with terrible taste in extramarital locations. Then the cabin door opened. Sabrina came out first. Lauren recognized her from Daniel's company picnic. She was wearing his hoodie, Lauren told me later. His Vanderbilt one? No, Lauren said. Worse. Worse was the gray hoodie I had bought him. My hoodie, technically. The one I wore pregnant. The one Daniel kept because he said it smelled like home. Apparently home was now available for overnight rentals. Sabrina's hair was messy. She stretched her arms above her head and laughed at something inside the cabin. Then Daniel stepped out. Barefoot. My husband was barefoot on another woman's rented porch, while I was at home wondering if Mia's poop color was normal. There are humiliations too specific to prepare for. Lauren raised her phone. Her hands were shaking, so the first 5 seconds of video showed mostly gravel, her shoes, and the edge of a tire. Human cinematography. Then she got them in frame. Daniel touched Sabrina's waist. Not long. Just enough. Enough is a cruel measurement. Sabrina said, "You should go before she starts calling." Daniel laughed softly. "She won't. Emily's too tired to question anything." Lauren stopped breathing. Then Daniel added, "She won't leave anyway. She has nowhere to go with the baby." That was the sentence. Not the cabin, not the hoodie, not the woman. That sentence was the knife turning. Lauren later said she almost walked straight up and hit him with her coffee. But the coffee was cold, and she has standards. Instead, she stepped backward and called me. Daniel must have heard the gravel shift. He turned, saw her. For 1 second, he looked confused, then terrified. Lauren held the phone higher. "Say that again," she said. Daniel's face hardened. "Lauren, what the hell are you doing here?" "Picking up a bag, accidentally catching a hobby." Sabrina wrapped her arms around herself. "Daniel," she whispered. Lauren's video shook again. "I'm calling Emily," she said. Daniel started toward her. "Don't." That word did something to Lauren. She stopped backing away. Her voice went low. "You don't get to give instructions at sunrise outside a cabin with your mistress." Sabrina flinched at mistress. Good. Words should sometimes arrive without cushions. Daniel held up both hands. "It's not what you think." Lauren actually laughed. There, in the mist, exhausted and furious, my sister laughed in my husband's face. "Daniel, unless this is a lakeside Bible study, it is exactly what I think." Then she hit my name and called me. And that was how my marriage ended. Not with a confession. Not with a tearful midnight talk. With my sister in scrubs, holding a phone in a gravel parking lot, while my husband stood barefoot beside the woman who believed my exhaustion made me stupid. After I told Lauren to tell him to wave, Daniel stopped walking. That part still makes me proud. Not because it was graceful. Nothing about me was graceful. I was barefoot on the nursery rug, one breast leaking through my shirt, holding a baby who smelled faintly of milk and betrayal-adjacent diaper cream. But my voice did not shake. Small victories matter. Daniel stared at Lauren's phone. "Emily," he said. My name sounded wrong coming from that porch. Like he had stolen it and brought it somewhere dirty. Sabrina moved behind him, half hidden in the doorway, suddenly very interested in looking fragile. Women like Sabrina love fragility once consequences arrive. Before that, they are bold enough to wear your husband's hoodie. Lauren said, "Do you want me to stay?" "No," I said. Daniel jumped on that. "Yes, leave, Lauren. This is between me and my wife." I laughed, Mia startled against my chest. I patted her back automatically. "Funny?" I said to the screen. "Last night it looked like it was between you, Sabrina, and a cabin with poor boundaries." Daniel rubbed his face. "Emily, please. I can explain." "Wonderful. I've always wanted a man to explain adultery before breakfast." "It's not. If you say it's not what it looks like, I will hang up and mail you a dictionary." He closed his mouth. "Good boy." Lauren shifted the phone. He's coming closer." "Get in your car," Daniel said. "Lauren, don't make this worse." Lauren's face snapped toward him. "Buddy, I am wearing compression socks and haven't slept since yesterday. I am not the worst thing here." I almost smiled. Almost. Then Mia made a soft grunt. A dangerous grunt. Motherhood gives you instincts no detective can match. I pulled the phone back and looked down. Of course my daughter had chosen this moment to blow out her diaper. Because life, when it breaks, prefers multitasking. "I have to change, Mia," I said. Daniel's face crumpled. "Emily." "No. Listen carefully because I am operating on 90 minutes of sleep and whatever substance is left at the bottom of old coffee." He went still. "Lauren is leaving. You are not following her. You are not coming home until I tell you. You are sending me nothing except your location and one sentence confirming Mia is safe with me. If you call my mother before I do, I will become educational." He blinked. "What does that mean?" "It means you'll learn," Lauren whispered. "I love postpartum you." I ended the video. Then I changed my daughter's diaper. Slowly. Carefully. The wipes were cold and Mia screamed like I had betrayed her personally. I told her, "Same girl." My phone started ringing before I even taped the diaper closed. Daniel. I let it ring. Then again. Then again. He called 12 times in 6 minutes. Impressive. The man who couldn't text his wife from a cabin had suddenly discovered communication technology. I dressed Mia in a clean onesie with tiny lemons on it. The snaps did not line up the first time, or the second. My hands were shaking now. There it was. The delay. My body had waited until the baby was dry to fall apart. Very polite nervous system. Daniel texted, "Please pick up." Then, I made a mistake. Then, it didn't mean anything. That one almost made me sit down. It didn't mean anything. Men say that like it reduces the damage. Like destroying your family for something meaningless is somehow better than destroying it for love. I called him. He answered before the first ring finished. "Emily, say it." He breathed hard. "I'm sorry." "No. Say where you were." Silence. I looked at Mia, who was watching the ceiling fan like it held answers. "Daniel. I was at a cabin. With. Emily, please. With. Sabrina." My throat tightened. I hated hearing her name in his voice. I hated that my first thought was, did he say it softly last night? That is what betrayal does. It makes your mind petty because your heart is busy bleeding. "How long?" I asked. "It was one night. One night that I know about." He did not answer. There it was, the first honest thing, silence. "Did you sleep with her?" He made a sound, not a word, a coward syllable. I closed my eyes. Mia cooed, very rude, very beautiful. "Yes," he whispered. The house tilted, just slightly. The nursery stayed the same, the cloud rug, the white crib, the diaper pail I hated, the stack of tiny pajamas on the chair. Nothing respected the event. I sat down on the floor. "Emily," he said. I opened my eyes. "You were lonely?" I felt invisible. I looked down at my shirt, at the wet patch blooming across cotton. "Our daughter is 4 months old, Daniel. I haven't peed alone since Thanksgiving." "I know." "No, you don't. You felt invisible. So you climbed into bed with a woman who could see you because she wasn't holding your baby. He started crying. I wish I could say it moved me. It mostly made me tired. I'm coming home, he said. No. She means nothing. That's worse. What? You risked us for nothing. He went quiet. I stood, holding Mia tighter. Send the location, send the confirmation, then stay away from the house. Emily, don't do this. I looked around the nursery. At the bassinet, the bottles, the little framed print that said you are so loved. I thought, yes, she is. And then I said the sentence that made everything real. I'm not doing this, Daniel. You already did. I did not leave dramatically. I wish I had. There is a version of this story where I sweep through the house in a black coat, toss my wedding ring into a storm drain, and drive away while thunder applauds. In reality, I packed with one hand while Mia chewed on the drawstring of my hoodie. Also, I forgot socks. For myself. Mia got 12 pairs because motherhood is a disease where everyone's feet matter except yours. After I hung up on Daniel, I stood in the hallway for almost 2 minutes. The house was quiet. Too quiet. It felt like it was pretending not to know what had happened. Then I moved, not fast, careful. Like if I rushed, I might shatter. First, Mia's birth certificate, social security card, insurance papers, her pediatric records, my ID, my debit card, the emergency cash my mother had once tucked into an envelope labeled, "For when men act stupid," because my mother believed in both romance and disaster preparedness. I packed diapers, wipes, bottles, formula samples, 2 blankets, the stuffed rabbit Daniel's mother had given Mia, and then stared at the rabbit for a full 10 seconds. It had a stitched smile. Very smug for someone with no legal problems. I packed it anyway. Mia loved chewing its ear. Then I went to our bedroom. Our bed was still made on his side because he had not slept in it. That detail hurt more than I expected. I pulled a duffel from the closet and packed jeans, nursing bras, 3 shirts, 1 dress I hated but fit, and my laptop charger. I forgot underwear, which I discovered later at Lauren's house and handled with the dignity of a woman, washing 1 pair in a sink while whispering threats at fabric. In the bathroom, Daniel's toothbrush stood beside mine. I almost threw it away, then I didn't, not because I was kind, because I wanted him to come home and see how ordinary everything looked after ruining it. The cruelest empty rooms are the ones that still have toothbrushes. My phone buzzed. Daniel sent the location, Cedar Ridge Cabins. Then another text. Mia is safe with you. Good. He could follow instructions when terrified. I took screenshots. Every text. Every call. Lauren's video. The cabin receipt memory burned in my head. Then I remembered the laundry. His navy jacket. The pocket. I ran to the laundry room, heart pounding, hoping the receipt was still there. It wasn't. Of course not. I had handed it back to him like a tired idiot. I said that out loud. Tired idiot. Mia laughed from her bouncer. Rude, I told her. Accurate, but rude. I grabbed the small home camera drive from the hall closet. Daniel had installed cameras after packages disappeared from our porch. Very civic-minded for a man conducting private treason. Then I walked into the kitchen. There was a bottle in the sink. Unwashed. Half full. I had been too tired the night before to rinse it. I looked at it for a long time. Then I took off my wedding ring. My finger was swollen. Postpartum hands are dramatic little sausages. The ring stuck and I had to use dish soap. Nothing says sacred vows like Dawn Ultra and Betrayal. Finally, it slid free. I placed it beside the dirty bottle, not on a velvet box, not in a letter. Beside sour milk, it felt appropriate. By 7:12, Lauren pulled into the driveway. She didn't knock. She came in, took one look at me holding the diaper bag and said, "You look like a raccoon who won custody." I forgot socks? We'll steal some from Mom. I don't want Mom yet, I know. Her voice softened. That almost broke me. Not Daniel's texts. Not the cabin. Not Sabrina in my hoodie. My sister saying I know. I buckled Maya into the car seat. She immediately spit up on the lemon onesie. Symbolic, Lauren said. Don't start. I'm coping. Cope quieter. We were halfway to Lauren's house in Franklin when Daniel called again. I did not answer. Then Nora called, Daniel's mother. Of course he called Mommy before finding shame. Classic. Lauren glanced at the screen mounted on the dashboard. You want me to answer and bark? No. You sure? I have range. I let it go to voicemail. Then Nora texted. Emily, Daniel says you left with the baby. Please call me. You may not be thinking clearly. There it was. The opening move. Not. Are you safe? Not. What did my son do? You may not be thinking clearly. I stared at the text until the letters blurred. Lauren said, do not reply while angry. I'm not angry. Your left eye is twitching Morse code. I typed anyway. I'm thinking clearly enough to know your son spent the night with Sabrina Cole at Cedar Ridge Cabins while I was home with Mia. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then Nora called. I answered. Her voice was tight. Emily, you shouldn't take a baby out of her home because of one mistake. I looked at Mia in the mirror, her tiny fist opened and closed in sleep. One mistake, I said. Marriages go through things. Which mistake do you mean, Nora? The cabin, the woman, or the part where he said I had nowhere to go with the baby? Silence. For once Nora had no napkin to dab under her eye. I ended the call. Lauren whispered, that was hot. I feel like I'm going to throw up. Also valid. We drove the rest of the way without talking. At Lauren's house, I carried Mia inside, set the diaper bag down, and realized I had forgotten the portable bassinet. I laughed, then cried. Then laughed again, because Mia chose that exact moment to sneeze milk onto my shirt. Lauren put her arms around both of us. You have somewhere to go, she said. I pressed my face into Mia's soft hair. Yes, I whispered. And for the first time that morning, I believed it. Sabrina texted me at 9:04 a.m. Bold. I was sitting at Lauren's kitchen table, wearing her oversized Titans sweatshirt, eating toast I did not remember making. Mia was asleep in a laundry basket lined with blankets, because we had forgotten the bassinet, and because motherhood is mostly improvising safely while judging yourself. Lauren called it farmhouse chic emergency parenting. I called it please don't tell Instagram. My phone lit up. Unknown number. Emily, this is Sabrina. I know you must hate me. I never wanted to hurt you. I stared at the message, then I laughed so suddenly toast crumbs fell onto my lap. Lauren looked up from sterilizing bottles. What? She never wanted to hurt me. Lauren dried her hands slowly. Give me the phone. No. Give me the phone and leave the room. No. I'm a pediatric nurse. I know exactly where to pinch without leaving a mark. Comforting. Another message came in. Daniel and I connected emotionally. He felt alone. I know that doesn't excuse anything, but your marriage was already struggling. There it was. The mistress thesis statement. Your marriage was already struggling, as if marriage struggles are abandoned shopping carts, and she was just being helpful by climbing in. I read it twice. Not because I needed to. Because rage enjoys details. Lauren leaned over my shoulder. Oh, she used emotionally connected. That's cheater for we booked a cabin. I picked up Mia's bottle and placed it in a mug of warm water. My hands were steadier now. That bothered me. I wanted my body to look as broken as I felt, but bodies are weird. Sometimes they fold laundry during grief. Sabrina kept typing. He said you two barely talked anymore. He said he felt like everything was about the baby. I looked at Mia asleep in a laundry basket, her mouth open, one fist tucked beside her cheek. Everything was about the baby. The baby was 4 months old. Babies are famously bad at making themselves less central. I typed back, she is a baby, Sabrina, not a coworker with poor boundaries. Grace Patel would probably tell me not to engage. I had not met Grace yet that day, but Lauren had already called her. Grace was a family lawyer and one of Lauren's old college friends. According to Lauren, Grace once made a judge apologize with only her eyebrows. At 10:30, Grace arrived with a leather folder, a black coffee, and the expression of a woman who had seen too many men call consequences confusion. She sat at the table and said, First, you and the baby are safe? Yes. Good. Second, do not text Sabrina. I slid my phone face down. Lauren pointed at me. See? I didn't send anything. But your thumb wanted to. My thumb has been through a lot. Grace almost smiled. She asked for the timeline. I told her everything. Daniel not coming home. The 113 text. Lauren's video. The calls. The confirmation text. Nora's reaction. Sabrina's emotional TED Talk of poor choices. Grace took notes. Mia woke up halfway through and began crying with the deep personal offense of someone who had discovered hunger for the first time. I stood automatically. Grace paused. Take your time. I warmed the bottle and bounced Mia against my chest while explaining adultery, custody, and cabin geography. Very modern motherhood. Very multitasking nightmare. Grace watched Daniel's texts, then Lauren's video. At the part where Daniel said she has nowhere to go with the baby, Grace's pen stopped moving, just for a second. Then she wrote something down. What? I asked. That sentence matters. It shattered me. It also shows intent. Intent, such a clean little legal word for a filthy thing. Grace told me not to return to the house alone. Not to deny Daniel reasonable contact with Mia, but to keep exchanges documented. Not to let anyone frame me as unstable. Not to post online, even though Lauren muttered that she had already drafted several tasteful options. Then Grace asked for bank access. I opened the joint account. My stomach tightened when I saw the charge. Cedar Ridge Cabins. 2 weeks ago. Another charge. Yesterday. Both labeled in Daniel's personal note field as baby supplies. Baby supplies. I actually said oh. Just that. Tiny word. Huge fall. Lauren came around behind my chair. Grace leaned closer. He used joint funds? Yes. For the cabin? Yes. And labeled them baby supplies. I looked down at Mia. She had milk on her chin and no idea her father had made her a cover story. Something in me changed then. The pain did not leave. It sharpened. Sabrina had not stolen my husband from some glowing, romantic marriage. Daniel had walked out of a house full of bottles, diapers, unpaid sleep, and love that looked like exhaustion. Then he used our daughter's name to hide the receipt. I picked up my phone. Grace said, Emily, I'm not texting Sabrina. Good. I'm texting Daniel. Grace hesitated. What are you sending? I typed, do not call me again today. All contact about Mia will be in writing. I know about the cabin charges labeled baby supplies. Then I added, you used our daughter as a receipt folder. Impressive, even for you. Grace read it, raised one eyebrow. Delete the last sentence. Lauren groaned, but it's art. I deleted it. Mostly, I kept a screenshot for my soul. Nora arrived at Lauren's house at 2:17 p.m. carrying a casserole. Of course. Some families bring truth, Southern families bring baked pasta and denial under foil. She stood on the porch in a pale blue cardigan, hair perfect, face pale. Daniel's mother had always looked like she belonged in a church directory beside the phrase, Women's Ministry Brunch. She could smile while judging your table centerpiece and make you thank her for it. Lauren opened the door. Hi, Nora. I'm here to see Emily and my granddaughter. Lauren looked at the casserole. Is that lasagna or an apology? Nora blinked. I called from the living room. Let her in. Lauren stepped aside, but not far. She has the energy of a guard dog with lip gloss. Nora came in and saw Mia asleep against my chest. Her face softened, then tightened again, like she had remembered which side she was supposed to be on. Emily, she said, Daniel is devastated. I looked down at Mia. She slept 28 minutes today. We're all devastated. Nora inhaled. I know you're hurt. Do you? I know what he did was wrong. That's a start, small, like hotel shampoo, but a start. Lauren made a sound that could have been a cough or applause. Nora sat carefully on the edge of the couch. But taking Mia out of the home? Stop. My voice surprised even me. Nora stopped. Grace was still there, sitting at the kitchen table with her folder open. She looked up but did not speak. Lawyers have a resting face that says, continue. I charge by the hour. I shifted Mia gently to my shoulder. She is not a lamp, Nora. I didn't take her out of the home. I took her away from the man who said I had nowhere to go with her. Nora's lips pressed together. Daniel says he never said that. Lauren laughed. It was not a nice laugh. Wonderful, we have video. Nora's face changed. Just a little. Not belief yet. Fear. People defend lies differently when they know there may be footage. I handed her my phone. She watched. At first, she held the phone like it might be contaminated. By the time Daniel's voice said, she won't leave anyway. She has nowhere to go with the baby. Her fingers had tightened around the case. The casserole sat untouched on the coffee table, probably reconsidering its involvement. Nora watched the clip twice, then she sat back. Her mouth opened, closed. For once, no speech. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. Then I remembered her telling me not to take a baby from her home before asking why her son had left it. Grace slid printed bank records across the table. There are also charges, she said. Joint account, Cedar Ridge Cabins, marked as baby supplies. Nora looked at the papers, her brow furrowed. Then she froze. What date is that? Grace told her. Nora's hand went to her throat. I saw something land, something heavier than shock. Nora? I asked. She stared at the bank record. I gave Daniel money that week. The room went very still. Lauren's eyes narrowed. For what? Nora swallowed. He said Emily was overwhelmed, that she needed help. A postpartum night nurse, supplies, maybe meal delivery. He said you were too proud to ask. I laughed once. It came out thin and ugly. I was too proud to ask, so you used your money to rent a cabin with Sabrina? Nora closed her eyes. I didn't know. No, I said. But you believed him very quickly. Her eyes opened. That hurt her. Good. Not because I wanted her destroyed, because pain is sometimes the only door truth will use. She looked at Mia, then at me. I saw Sabrina once, Nora whispered. Lauren leaned forward. When? A work dinner. Daniel brought her. He said she was a consultant. She was familiar with him. Familiar how? Lauren asked. Nora looked ashamed. She touched his arm too much. He laughed too softly. I told myself I was being old-fashioned. I wanted to throw the casserole. Not at her. Near her. Enough to communicate. Instead, I adjusted Mia's blanket. Tiny, pointless action. My hands needed something innocent. You noticed, I said. I didn't know. But you noticed. Nora looked down at her nails. One corner of her pale polish was chipped. She picked at it with her thumb. That small gesture did more than tears would have. I raised him better than this, she said. I stared at her. Then the sentence came out before kindness could stop it. Then maybe he returned himself defective. Lauren made a tiny choking sound. Grace looked at her papers, but I swear her mouth twitched. Nora did not get angry. She nodded once. Maybe she deserved that. Maybe she knew it. Mia woke then and began to fuss. Nora instinctively reached out, then stopped and looked at me. That was the first respectful thing she had done all day. May I? She asked. I hesitated. My first instinct was no. Then Mia made a squawking noise, furious and dramatic, her little fists punching air. I almost smiled. She gets that from me, I said. Nora's face cracked, a little. I let her hold Mia, not as forgiveness, as a boundary with supervision. Nora cradled her granddaughter and began crying silently. No performance, no tissue dab, just tears falling onto her cardigan while Mia stared up at her like, Lady, do you have milk or not? After a minute, Nora looked at me. I will not lie for him. That sentence did not fix anything, but it moved something. A chair dragged an inch across the floor, not enough to leave, enough to hear. Daniel showed up at Lauren's house at 6:40 p.m. with flowers. Again, men really do think petals are legal defense. This time they were better flowers. White roses, pale pink tulips, eucalyptus, expensive. Apology bouquet with a credit score. Lauren looked through the people and said, he brought vegetation. I was feeding Mia on the couch. Do not open the door. He looks pathetic. Good. Let him stand there and photosynthesize. Grace had left an hour earlier after giving me instructions so clear I wanted to laminate them. Nora was still inside, sitting in the armchair with Mia's burp cloth folded in her lap like a guilty flag. Daniel knocked. Emily? Please. His voice through the door made my body react before my mind did. My chest tightened. My hands went cold. Mia kept drinking like we were not inside the world's worst dinner theater. Lauren said, I can tell him you died. No? Emotionally? Lauren. Fine. I stood after Mia finished, handed her to Nora, and walked to the door. Lauren stayed beside me. I opened it but left the chain on. Daniel stood on the porch, eyes red, hair messy in the way that might have been grief or careful styling. He had changed clothes, navy sweater, jeans, wedding ring still on, bold accessory. Emily, he said. No. He blinked. I didn't say anything yet. I'm saving time. His eyes moved behind me and landed on his mother. Nora? She stood slowly with Mia in her arms. Daniel looked wounded. The audacity of men being shocked when mothers discover they were not raised by wolves, but chose to behave like one anyway. Mom, why are you here? Nora's voice was quiet, because I needed to hear the truth. His face tightened. The truth is complicated. Lauren snorted. Adultery with lake access. Very complex. Daniel ignored her. Emily, can we talk alone? No, please, this is between us. I opened the door wider, chain still holding. You keep saying that, but Sabrina was there. Lauren found you. Your mother funded the cabin by accident, and Mia got used as a banking label. This has become a group project. His face flushed. It was one night. I stared at him. He looked away. There it was again. The silence that tells on a man. How many? I asked. He swallowed. Emily. How many nights? He gripped the flowers tighter. 3. Nora made a sound behind me. Small. Crushed. I nodded. 3. My brain filed the number neatly because sometimes devastation becomes administrative. 3 nights, I said. It wasn't supposed to become. What? A pattern? A receipt? A family event? He stepped closer. The chain pulled tight. I was lost. I almost laughed. Daniel, you were not lost. You had GPS. Lauren whispered. Excellent. He looked at her sharply. Can you not? Lauren smiled. I could, but I won't. Daniel turned back to me. Sabrina doesn't mean anything. The porch light flickered once. Even electricity disapproved. Before I could answer, headlights swept across the driveway. A silver sedan pulled up behind Daniel's SUV. Sabrina got out. For a second, nobody moved. Then Lauren whispered, "Oh, this episode has a guest star." Sabrina walked toward the porch wearing a tan coat and the expression of a woman who had rehearsed bravery in the mirror. Daniel turned around. His face went slack. "Sabrina, what are you doing here?" She looked at him, then at me. "You said she would understand eventually." I stared at Daniel, slowly. Oh, that tiny word again, a whole cliff collapsing into one vowel. Sabrina's eyes were shiny. "You told me your marriage was basically over." Lauren opened her mouth. I lifted one hand. She closed it, visibly suffering. Sabrina looked at Mia in Nora's arms. For the first time, real shame crossed her face. Good. Late shame is still shame, though I don't recommend it as a lifestyle. "You knew about her," I said. Sabrina's lips parted. "I knew you had a baby." "No, try again. You knew we had a 4-month-old baby and still let him tell you he was lonely." Daniel snapped. "Don't blame her." I looked at him. "Are you defending her on my sister's porch while holding apology flowers for me?" He froze. Lauren whispered, "Bold strategy." Sabrina's face hardened then. "He said you barely let him near you." I laughed. Not big, just enough to make her flinch. I was healing from childbirth, feeding his daughter, and sleeping in 90-minute pieces. I'm sorry my postpartum body failed to provide full-service emotional tourism. Daniel closed his eyes. Sabrina looked away. I took out my phone. "Let's hear something." Daniel's head snapped up. I played Lauren's video. The porch filled with his voice. "She won't leave anyway. She has nowhere to go with the baby." The sentence sounded worse outside my head. Nora began crying again. Sabrina stared at Daniel. "You said that?" He said nothing. Of course. Silence. His most loyal mistress. I stopped the video. Daniel looked at me like he had finally run out of doors. "You were right about one thing," I said. My voice shook now. I let it. I had nowhere to go. Mia made a soft noise inside. I turned slightly, looking at her. "So I made somewhere." Daniel's face broke. "Not enough. Never enough." I closed the door. The chain slid with a small metal click. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just final. The next few weeks were ugly in boring ways. People expect betrayal to be all slammed doors and rain on windows. It is mostly forms. Custody forms. Bank forms. Insurance forms. A change of address form I filled out wrong twice because Mia was crying and I wrote my old zip code like my hand had not received the news. Grace filed for legal separation first. Temporary custody arrangement. Temporary support. Temporary possession of the house. Temporary is a funny word. It sounds gentle, like a borrowed sweater. In court, it means your life has been cut into pieces and labeled until someone decides which pieces you're allowed to keep. Daniel tried to be charming. That lasted 12 minutes into mediation. Then Grace placed the bank statements on the table. Cedar Ridge Cabins. Baby supplies. Nora's transfer. Daniel's face went gray. His attorney, a tired man named Paul who looked like he regretted breakfast, asked for a recess. Grace leaned toward me and whispered, "That means we are having a lovely morning." I almost smiled. Progress comes in strange packaging. Daniel agreed to supervised exchanges at first, then scheduled visitation as Mia got older. He did not lose his daughter. I did not want that. Mia deserved a father who showed up sober, documented, and unable to rewrite history at my kitchen table. But he lost access to me. That was the part he seemed least prepared for. He kept texting things like, "I miss my family. I miss waking up with you. I miss us." I wanted to reply, "You missed us before the cabin, actually." Grace said no. Grace was very strict about my artistic development, so I wrote replies in my notes app and never sent them. A recommended hobby for women resisting felony-level sarcasm. Sabrina left Nashville in June, not publicly shamed in a grand movie way. No one poured wine on her at a gala. Nobody slapped anyone near a fountain, which felt like a missed cultural opportunity. But word spread. It always does. Freelance marketing is basically gossip with invoices. She sent me one message before she left. "I'm sorry." I believed him. I stared at it while Mia kicked on a blanket beside me. Then I deleted it. Not because I forgave her. Because I did not want to store her anymore. Nora changed slowly. At first she overcorrected, bringing diapers, groceries, and an anxious amount of soup. Then she learned to ask. Can I come by? Do you need anything? May I hold her? May I? Those two words did more repair than all the casserole in Tennessee. Lauren remained Lauren. She came over every Thursday night, ate my snacks, held Mia like a football, and referred to Daniel exclusively as cabin boy. Until Grace advised us not to use it in writing. By August, I rented a small apartment in East Nashville, above a bakery. It smelled like bread every morning. That sounds charming, and it was, except I spent the first week craving croissants at 6 a.m. and blaming trauma. The nursery was tiny, white curtains, a second-hand dresser, a rug with little yellow moons. The baby monitor sat on a shelf across from Mia's crib, same monitor from the old house. For months, that blue glow had meant fear. Is she breathing? Will Daniel come home? Am I enough? In the new apartment, it changed. It became ordinary. At night, I would sit on the floor with my back against the dresser, folding tiny pajamas while Mia breathed softly through the speaker. In, out, tiny static, tiny life. Daniel sold the house after winter. I took my share and put some away for Mia. Some I used to restart my career. I went back to event work part-time, helping organize a community music series in East Nashville. Small stage, string lights, folding chairs, local musicians tuning guitars while kids ran barefoot in the grass. The first night I worked again, I brought Mia. Lauren wore her in a carrier and told everyone she was security. Mia slept through two folk singers and woke up during a banjo solo, proving she had taste. I stood near the sound booth with a clipboard in my hand and realized no one needed me to be the abandoned wife there. I was just Emily. Tired. Competent. Wearing mascara on only one eye because Mia had grabbed the wand, and I had decided symmetry was for women with childcare. At the end of the night, Nora came by with Mia's diaper bag. She had watched her for an hour while Lauren helped with vendors. She was good, Nora said. She's always good, except when she's a tiny landlord making demands. Nora smiled, then her face softened. I'm sorry I doubted you first. I looked at her. The apology was late, but it was clean. Thank you, I said. That was all I had. Sometimes that is enough for one evening. When I got home, Mia was asleep before I finished the lullaby. I laid her in the crib, turned on the monitor, and stood there listening. The apartment was quiet. No car pulling in late. No phone buzzing face down. No guest room door closing. Just the hum of the refrigerator, the bakery below shutting down, and my daughter breathing in the dark. I thought I would feel lonely. Instead, I felt tired, but honest tired. The kind that belonged to me. I sat on the floor and leaned against the wall. For the first time in months, I did not wait for Daniel to come home. I was home. Da Song Part 10. Viet Van Ho Chin. A year later, Mia learned to walk by chasing Lauren's cat across my apartment. The cat never forgave her. Reasonable. Daniel became a calendar notification. Tuesdays, every other weekend, pediatric updates in writing. No surprise visits. No leaning in my doorway calling me M like the name still belonged to him. Nora came by twice a month. She brought diapers, not opinions. Sometimes she and I sat at the kitchen table while Mia destroyed banana slices with the seriousness of a tiny executive. We were not friends exactly, but we were honest. And after everything, honest felt almost luxurious. Lauren still called Daniel cabin boy out loud only when Mia was asleep. Mostly. She can't spell yet, Lauren argued once. She can hear tone. She should. It's educational. I went back to work full-time slowly, not heroically. I cried in my car the first day I dropped Mia at daycare. Then I spilled coffee on my blouse and attended a sponsor meeting smelling like espresso and abandonment. Very professional, very Nashville. Some nights were still hard. I missed the idea of the family I thought we had. I did not miss the lying. Those are different griefs, and they take turns being annoying. One evening after Mia fell asleep, I turned on the baby monitor and waited for the old fear. It didn't come. Only her breathing. Soft, steady. Mine matched it after a while. In, out. The quiet was no longer a warning. It was just quiet. And for the first time, I trusted it.